Hey everyone, it's the Photo Techie. I hope you're all doing well. Today's video is on the Nacon Revolution 5 Pro and its customization options. First, I'd like to apologize for my voice. I'm recovering from the seasonal bug. Also, there's some construction going on in the building, so you guys might hear some banging noises in the background. So right now, I have the DualSense Edge connected to my PS5. We are in the firing range, and this is basically just like a standard DualSense controller. You know that weapons have a kick, and every time when we fire, we sort of try and control the recoil. Now, some weapons will have a lot less kick and some have a lot more kick, and controlling that initially is something that we just instinctively do. And it's very easy that once you know the weapons and stuff, and you can easily, whilst you're firing, it's very easy to control the weapon. And depending what type of weapon it is, it's what your play style is and stuff, is actually not that difficult. Now, one thing I do find with the Nacon doing this kind of stuff, initially when I got the controller before I customized it, trying to control this recoil is very difficult. So you have to get your timing absolutely right, even if you're jump shotting and stuff. I'm going to switch on to the Nacon and we'll see what I mean. I have the Nacon plugged in now. The only thing I've changed is flip the bumpers to the triggers, because on DualSense Edge I use the bumpers to shoot. But this is what I mean. So this is at the moment is in classic mode. And if I try to control that recoil, I am pulling down like my muscle memory allows me, and it gets a little bit difficult. And now it's a bit of an exaggeration because this is in classic mode and they have a built-in dead zone. And if you're not adjusted to it, then yeah, of course, it takes time because coming from the edge. But if I switch it to advanced mode, and profile number 3 is my preferred profile, now the dead zones are disabled. So same thing I can do with the controller very easily. I can control that recoil, that initial sort of kick that the gun has. It's not that difficult for me like that it was before. So even jump shots and stuff and controlling it whilst doing that is much better. Now that's because I have customized the curves, and once you do that, it gets a lot easier to basically, whilst firing, controlling that recoil as well. Also aiming feels a lot better. To show the customization, we have to go to the PC and on the Nacon app, so let's do that now. Before we take a look at the software, I'd like to show you guys how the controller is behaving, because I discovered that wireless stick output is different to the wired mode. So basically, I did some tests. If you've seen my G7SE nonlinear output video, all I'm doing is using a motorized solution and pushing the stick out as slowly as possible. Then we are gathering all these numbers and checking the data, seeing what's happening with the resolution of the sticks and what sort of intervals they go up, and are they linear, what's going on. This was discovered by Dedo Zone, his name is on YouTube, and 30 pounds on Reddit. Amazing method, because in the past I was using HCI Design, which is a very basic sort of website because it only gives percentages, but it's not that accurate like the gamepad tester. Now, if we look at the data, so here we have the DualSense, standard DualSense. It has 0.78 register per increment. So when you're pushing the stick out, every zone is 0.78%, and we get 128 zones altogether. Very linear output. And if we look at the wireless result of the Nacon, it behaves like the DualSense, but if you look at these steps, what's going on is we have 128 zones, but every zone is 1.6% register with an insert of a 0.03, and it's very linear, 1.6, then 0.03, 1.6, 0.03. So this is what's happening in wireless. And what happens if you add a shaft insert or do any customization, we still have 128 zones. Your physical position of the sticks gets mapped to those 128 zones. So imagine you have a small shaft insert, those 128 zones, it will take the full travel of the stick to output 128 zones. It will still be 128, it still be 1.6 register with an insert of 0.03, because I tested different ones, and I even tested my custom curve as well with the wireless. But if you go to wired, things change. So here we have small wired. Things change here. We have 502 zones that I recorded. Now, it might be larger than that. It's just because I'm recording at 60 frames, and the slowest thing I can push, I believe the polling rate will matter as well. but I got 502 zones in the small shaft insert with no customization sort of done to it. And when we go to the medium gave me 420 zones. And this is just a chart showing a little bit of a difference between them. So this blue line is the medium, the 420 zones, the small is 500 something zones they gave me. DualSense and the wireless results are here neck and neck, so basically same zones. But if I go to the wired with the large zones, same thing. It's, has a lot more resolution than the wireless, and it was around 278 zones that this one gave. Again, it's not very linear because there's so many zones, how it's outputting the data. So we have all these numbers that are different. They are multiple of the smallest number that there is. So it's still, I would say, with a high resolution, it's behaving linearly because those are like, you can divide them to the smallest number that I was checking. But here's the thing. When I see my custom settings that I personally prefer, since I customize it, we can see that they actually work way better in the wired mode. So this is just like what I'll show you guys how I've done the customization, but that's my curve. And you can see up to the 70% of the value, we have a certain sort of like a line, and then from 70 to 100, there is a change, and that's exactly what I've done. And you can see that in the wired mode. So that's just to show you guys quickly that the wireless behavior is a little bit different to the wired. I don't know why they have done this way, if it was a Sony thing or whatever, but yeah, I personally play only wired, so I'll be talking about like my experience is based on the wired customization. All right, so this is the Nacon Revolution 5 Pro's app, and you have different settings for your PlayStation 4, PC, and PlayStation 5. I'm only going to be talking about the PlayStation 5 settings. So different profiles available to us, and when you edit them, you get the options for your sticks and D-pad. So this is where basically all my aiming customization is. One thing I'd highly recommend that you guys do is turn on FPS Pro mode, because if you don't have this turned on, even though if you put the dead zone to 0, you still have 8 to 9% dead zone present on the controller. So turn the FPS Pro mode on, use your in-game dead zones. Unfortunately, when you turn this on, we have no customization on the dead zone at all. So you have to use your in-game dead zones. Now, with this graph, what we have here is, we have 1 point, which is so this first, you say 0.1 and it shows the stick. This represents the actual position of the stick. So 33 means that 33% physical position of the stick from the center. And underneath it, that's the output. So what you want the output to be at that physical point of the stick. And if we leave that linear, you will see that 33 will be 33 and 66 will be 66, and everything else is just mapped accordingly. So if you are like me and you were finding a controller, like I showed, I couldn't control recoil, that means there wasn't enough output happening on the stick for my muscle memory. Even though I'm pulling down, it's not enough to catch that kick of the gun or aim properly. So this is what you have to customize. Now, first thing that I do, so this is just a profile because I was mapping it and stuff, so I've just kept it this way. My first way of customizing this controller is to use a medium shaft insert. Why I do that is because with the small shaft, with basically no insert, it's a lot more travel than the standard DualSense or other controllers that I have. So the first thing I do is I will put a medium shaft insert and I'll change that small to medium. That straight away will change the positions of the points, and it will change the things that's mapped out of that. So the 0.1 goes to 37. So 37% of the stick push from the center will have a 50% output. And then 74% of the stick from center, which is basically going all the way towards the edges, has 0.99. I would say change the 0.99 to 1. So at least we get the maximum output going from there. Now, personally, what I've done is, so this is a good start. I would highly recommend you guys trying this out. FPS Pro mode. Make one profile with just a medium shaft insert, leave it as it is, just put 3750, 74 to 1, and try this out, see how it feels. My personal favorite settings, basically the profile that suits best to me, just how, my sort of thumbs are working, is this one. So what I've done is, same thing, FPS Pro mode, I have the medium shaft insert, And the first point, I've changed that from 37 to 45, and I took it to 0.70. So I have the first 70% of the output is mapped to 45% of the stick movement. And as I showed in the graph, the results, that's exactly what's going on. And then after that, the 45 to the 74%, that travel that's left is the rest output of 70 to, so that 30% output is mapped to those rest values. This seems to work really well for me. So every time like I use this controller, this is my profile, that works the best for me. Sensitivity Plus is another option. I used to use this before we got the FPS Pro mode, but all Sensitivity Plus does, it increases your output in the diagonals, nothing to the absolute corner, it just increases the diagonals. So I would highly recommend that if you're using shaft insert, try without it. If you still find it lacking, if you still feel the controller is a bit sluggish, you can try that, but just remember it's the diagonals. Your absolute 4 basically corners don't have any extra output. It only happens when you're going in diagonal. So that is one option there as well. Now, how to customize it to your liking will really depend what you are struggling with. If you find that you can't track things properly, or if it's sluggish, then yeah, trying these will definitely help, because all we are doing is getting more output with a lesser of the movement than what originally is mapped on the controller. If your problem is the opposite, you find it too quick, or you can't find the perfect setting that it feels like a little bit uncontrollable, I would still recommend using the FPS Pro mode. Using in-game dead zones will definitely help a lot better, but then you could go the opposite. So your first point, you could actually have a lesser of a register. So customization options are definitely there. I do think this is a really good option that Nacon have done. Why they've decided to do the wireless output a little bit different to the wired, that's beyond me. I don't know, whatever the reason there is. I wish it was the same, because I do think that wireless output, what they've done, makes sense. Like having a linear output and just using the stick movement like that could have been a really good solution. Now, I don't play wirelessly, so yeah. I do hope, guys, these tips help you out. If you have any other questions about anything else, definitely leave a comment. I do my best to reply to every comment I get. And also, please share your workarounds. If you found something that works really well with the Nacon, for me, like I showed, the settings that I'm using, they work actually really, really well. And I do enjoy this controller, even though it has higher latency than DualSense Edge. I think doing the, customizing it this way, it really performs well for me. I love the ergonomics of the controller. So yeah, try these. And like I said, if you have something, that helps you out, definitely share in the comments. It won't only help me out, it will help a lot of other people out as well. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Thank you so much for everyone who subscribed. Your support really means a lot. Hopefully, I'll catch you in one of my other videos. Bye for now.